Welcome back to Invest Global. Today we're talking about the future of jobs in the economy and how you can take advantage of these changes. These opportunities really only come every once in a while throughout history. You see the Industrial Revolution, you see that dot-com bubble. Now we're really seeing a lot of these implementations actually being used, not just by people creating their own currencies, creating their own blockchain networks, but actual governments like China that we recently discussed, how they're banning these competitors essentially because they truly have this monopoly. And when you start contrasting, which is the focus of today's video, governments, institutions like, for example, banks or universities, and you start contrasting all of these kind of perceptions that most people have around these organizations that, they're these kind of authority figures. One of the 25 cognitive biases that these organizations have used throughout history very, very well is authority bias. It's very, very simple. Authority bias and liking, loving bias through advertising. So I really think over the next 20 to 30 years, we're going to see a massive shift here. Again, I'm going to be talking about kind of how you can take advantage of this trend in the long run. And also, if you're working a job, kind of rethinking basically how you're framing the world currently, how you're framing income, because that's very, very important. We talk a lot about investing things on the channel. I talk about emerging markets. I talk about blockchain. I talk about stocks, commodities, pretty much everything. That's why the channel's name is Invest Global. But today, we're really going to be focusing in on this trend of the quitting economy, of unemployment, and how you can take advantage of it. So over a year into the pandemic, burnt out workers are quitting their jobs at record rates, rolling the dice on the recovering U.S. economy. And just to emphasize, this is not in the U.S., but you have to understand, really, the U.S. does send a ripple worldwide. It's not just a cliche that people say. You hear this a lot in Europe. I'm about to leave Europe for Egypt, but I was planning on going to Brazil. Lots of different traveling things going on. But when you're traveling around Europe, you do hear that a lot. That the U.S. sends a ripple in their kind of innovations, in their trends. In my opinion, the main reason that I look at it is, number one, as far as the media goes, as far as the politicians goes, it's the most kind of a Kardashian-esque economy. There's Russia, there's China. It's a little bit more boring, to be quite honest. The U.S. is a bit more flashy. More things happen, and a lot of that does have to do with it being the global reserve currency, it being kind of this economic powerhouse, lots of crazy things going on there. But again, this trend where you see people actually getting supplemented for being unemployed over the past year is huge, and you do have to recognize this. Beyond this, I do want to say that 4 million Americans who quit their job in April of 2021 and about 740,000 in leisure and hospitality alone. So again, yes, that's in America, and that is somewhat in the micro. But in the macro, what I like to do is zoom out and look at some of these other indicators that you see across the world. One of the worst is South Africa. South Africa has it terrible. Here, we can just do this. Obviously, these numbers are kind of rounded. It's pretty hard to calculate things like unemployment rates, and sometimes countries do skew with them, similar with inflation rates, right? So, and that's another topic that we'll get to here in a second. But Djibouti is definitely there with 40%. I never know if I'm saying that right. I still have not been to Djibouti, but South Africa, beautiful, 34%. And then Nigeria at 33.3%. So, I was in Bosnia, and you can definitely see it affecting the kind of the society. You see a lot more of this kind of not necessarily laziness, but people that just are a bit lost. You know what I mean? Like, people are growing up in these families where a majority of people's parents that are, in their 20s and 30s now, they're telling them, hey, this is the structured way of going about life. This is the structure. This is what we've always done, so keep repeating the cycle. But the problem that a lot of people are realizing now is, hey, why am I repeating the cycle when I have literally at my fingertips what every single king throughout history wanted? If any king had this, he would have been dominant, and nobody's using it. So again, I think a lot of people see things like this, see technology, using social media as entertainment, as a tool to get them throughout their day-to-day life for social things. I like to look at it as growth tool. You can scale things up very, very quickly using online. That's where I got started, was in e-commerce. And that's also, I do want to mention today's sponsor, which is Apollo FinTech. We'll hop into this, then we'll return back to the video. So basically, the reason that I really like Apollo and the reason that I partnered up with them is they're really one-size-fits-all approach for the global macroeconomy. My channel is called Invest Global, and I love what they're doing in their products. You can see it's not just focused on consumer products, but it's focused on commercial and government solutions. So they're essentially able to whitelist different things like commercial payment systems, which is massive. And I'll probably honestly do a detailed video on this just because of how personally I really, really like what they're building here. Now, some of it, yes, is still proof of concept. There are other projects out there. You do have to do your own research. It's always important. I always have that video linked down below in the description, how to do your own research, going through fundamental, technical, sentimental, and on-chain analysis. But Apollo Currency has accomplished their goal of becoming the world's fastest cryptocurrency and sustainable blockchain, as well as one of the most feature-rich. And again, one of the reasons that I really, really like what they're building out here as far as the infrastructure of Apollo is that they have all these things that so many projects have promised, like Filecoin has promised, decentralized storage, which I would love. I have a lot of IP, intellectual property, that I would like to store in a decentralized manner, not have to use Google Drive, not have to use Dropbox, but use it on the blockchain. That's what I want to see. Apollo Currency is innovating in that space, and they're really, again, kind of having this all-encompassing approach on, hey, if you need this moving forward in the changing economy, in these changing times, like I think, jobs are going to completely change. I think there's going to be many more entrepreneurs out of this. But hey, if you have a white label system where you can basically go, hey, I can sell you anything online. I don't have to deal with these middlemen like PayPal, like Stripe, like Venmo, whatever it is, or the ACH transfers. Having a card, a lot of places that I travel to, like Kosovo, for example, if you're using a card, they get a massive, massive cut. They're making much less money than if you pay in cash. So think about it. If instead of the only option was a card or cash, you had something like Apollo's integration, or maybe it's another project really innovating in this financial space, going, hey, now here's another option. Here's a decentralized option that it's a win-win. It's truly a win-win. For you, a card is convenience, but for workers in Kosovo, that's the reason they want cash. And it's one of those things to keep in mind. But anyways, that was Apollo Currency. I'll be working with them moving forward as well. Back to the video. All right. So as I was talking about, you have all these kind of trends coming together, and it's not just in the U.S., it's all over the world. We see these things in Bosnia. We see them in Djibouti. I still can't remember if I'm saying that correctly, so let me know in the comments. I would like to visit somewhat soon. But all these trends shifting, why are they happening? Well, in my opinion, it's really the democratization of information. It's everything coming together that in past times, like think about even 20, 30 years ago, if you're all sitting around a table with a group of guys or whatever, like your family, and you're seeking advice, you're wanting advice, you're wanting, hey, what's a good industry to go into? What's, should I trust my school on these job applications, which are terrible? Those like future job tests that they do in a lot of Western countries. Eastern countries is a little bit different. But again, this kind of whole roadmap, you're learning from other people's experiences versus online, you have access to literally pretty much everyone's experience. It's synthesized knowledge. It's like the Library of Alexander at your fingertips, but people do not utilize it. And that's why I've always been passionate about, personally, like I've always been very business oriented. When I was very, very young, started my own e-commerce business, was mowing lawns before that. I grew up in Iowa. Every summer in high school, I worked 70-hour work weeks doing concrete construction, really saving up. And then, in my opinion, when you're younger, your risk tolerance should be much, much higher. So your tolerance for risk, the risks that you take when you're in your 20s, even when you're in your 30s, I'm not in my 30s yet, but when you're in your 20s, especially early 20s, I think the amount of risk you take should be disproportionately higher, because you should try and experiment. You should have a certain approach where it's like, hey, minimum viable product, let's get this thing going. And so many people are at their jobs, they're quitting because the curtain is starting to be pulled back. You understand? The curtain has been closed on people throughout pretty much all of history. If you don't have the right know-how, the right connections, you didn't grow up in a wealthy family, who taught you financial education? Did you learn it from some dumb friend at a bar? Like this, these are the things that are changing. And with this access to information, people start getting a little bit more empowered. And for me, you can see that I'm a little bit passionate about this. But, I find this trend incredible, because I really do think the shift, not only in centralization in the financial system like banks, moving towards decentralized protocols that anyone can use around the world, which is a lot more fair. It's truly an even playing field. You get the same financial tools as Jeff Bezos. On the blockchain, he gets the same thing as you. He may own more than you, but who knows if he owns any cryptocurrency. I think there could be some interesting things there if he pulls like a little bit of Elon Musk and we do hit this 100K by December, which I did say that at the beginning of this year when I was, I think I started out the year in Montenegro. I was in Bosnia skiing. Then I was in Montenegro. I recorded a video when I was in Bosnia talking about when Bitcoin, I think, was like at 20K. I was recording stuff before there when it was below 10K, but the point is my prediction for the year was 100K. So I may be wrong. That was a thesis. Again, I like to look at life kind of a bit more as an experiment, right? So different things that you do, instead of just having it be you do it and then that's the end of it. Go, no. Okay, let me think a step deeper. What did I learn from this situation? Kind of analyze things a bit more. Look at it more like natural law, like the ancient Greeks talked about. I'm looking across right here is the Acropolis. I wish I could show you this, but the lighting's messed up as it is with this cloudy day. But anyways, the kind of ancient Greek philosophy of natural law, which is thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. So what that comes down to is combining all these ideas together, building a thought process around, okay, the idea is I'm going to try out this business thing. Maybe even you keep your job. So many people are probably keeping their job. And as you can see here, people are doing this, the fuck off fund, which I love. The fuck off fund is incredible. 6 months worth of savings. Most experts can suggest that you have on hand. For some, call a fuck off fund before quitting a job. I absolutely love that. I don't know about you guys, but lots of Gen Zers. Technically, I am in the Generation Z. I'll let you do the math on that. People have been speculating about how old I am, but anyways, the point is, when you see these people kind of doing this, when you see these people thinking ahead, when you have this experimental approach, when you say, hey, I'm going to give myself 6 months to try this new thing, see that as an experiment. Don't see it as, you talk about your friends. Like, for me, I like to try a thing. I don't even care if I tell anyone. It's for me. Like, you should be growing as a person. You should be passionate about, in my opinion, developing your life. And part of that is developing your economic situation. So maybe right now you're not able to invest global, you're not able to invest in all these different places, you're not able to travel as much. But if you really take these things on yourself, and I should honestly record a lot more videos on like e-commerce things, but those are probably like hour-long videos if I do them on like Amazon, Shopify, different ways to make money online. But I do plan to do those, put them out for free. But anyways, again, the point is seeing that as an experimental approach, using that time frame of a fuck off fund. So if you can get yourself your own fuck off fund, even if you're already doing your own thing and you kind of want to repivot, you want to go, okay, what should I do 6 months from now? Well, if you have enough funds, let's just say you have even $2,000 to $3,000, even $1,000 certain places in the world. In like Chiang Mai, Thailand, I don't really prefer Chiang Mai, Thailand that much. Just because it's such in a bubble of like digital nomad type people that are starting their own business that are way too focused on, in my opinion, kind of the wrong things. But certain places in the world, $1,000, $2,000, you have yourself a fuck off fund. You have, 10, 12 grand, something like that. You can go figure it out for 6 months. But the thing is in that time period, what you should be doing, in my personal opinion, is analyzing every single day maintenance versus progress. What are you progressing on? Maintenance is things like cleaning, things like traveling. That's maintenance, right? That's not really progress in business. We're focusing in on the business category. But if you're one of these people that's continuing in this trend of the quitting economy, I really do think it's very, very important to go, okay, what am I spending my time on? A great way of doing this is the 100 units test. Basically, you take a set unit of time. So let's use an hour, for example. For 100 of those units, you track exactly what you do. Now, but you categorize it basically. So it's not like you're writing down. It wouldn't be like I'm recording this video and I'm writing it down. And I've done this a while ago. I need to redo it. With all the travel, I'm a little bit more unstructured. But when you're, especially if you're in one place and you're set up like you have your home office, whatever it is, you need to be responsible for yourself. So it's very, very important to take this on yourself. This is a kind of a disciplinary process. But essentially, for 100 units of time, so if you slept for 8 hours, 8 out of that would be put in the sleep category. And then you start categorizing on other things that you don't even realize that you're doing. So maybe you wake up, you brush your teeth, you take a shower, maintenance. That's all maintenance. You're not progressing anything, right? You're not building anything. Then maybe you go, you eat. That's maintenance. It's not progress. Eating is not progress. Sit around, look at your phone a little bit, maintenance, not progress. Group that together. And then at the end of those 100 units of time, you can really see where's your time going. And then you can go, okay, let me really seriously think about it, because it's essentially giving you a bird's eye view of your life, because you're very stuck in the personal perspective. So that's one thing that I do recommend. Again, I'm not going to be one of those people that like tries to sell you a course on anything. I just am passionate about people doing this. And I think if you ever have any questions, you can join the Telegram group, reach out to me and ask. But, it's from a young age, I was very, very passionate about it. I've tried a lot of different things. I basically found some form of success in every single one. Obviously, it's a sliding scale. There's other things that are more interesting to me. But think about it as like a magnet. If you don't enjoy your job, if you don't enjoy what you're currently doing, and you see these things, you see the trends, you see the quitting economy, you see what's going on in the world. Well, if that's you, really what you should do is take some time and go, hey, why am I watching Netflix? Why am I playing video games all the time? Why don't I purely go nonfiction? Try that. Try a nonfiction diet for a week. Only things that are real. Don't entertain yourself with someone else's fantasy, okay? So go for a walk. come back, try and learn. There's tons of free information out there on YouTube. Like I said, I'm hoping to do some videos when I'm kind of more set up in a place. When I get to Brazil, I'll do some videos like that where it's not like screen recording. When I'm traveling, I like to travel light, so that's why I record things mainly on my computer. But when I do the other stuff in Brazil, I'll have a different camera for more of a sit-down video like I was doing when I was in Istanbul for a while. But those are the videos, honestly, that I prefer. The screen recording thing is good because you're able to pull up information, but as the channel kind of progresses, it's almost like a year old now. And again, it's always just been a brain dump of what I'm thinking, my kind of thoughts on the world. And so that's basically it. I think I wrapped up that 100 units of time. I apologize if I pop all over the place. I've been working on a lot of different things, and my mind, especially when I get passionate about something, can be a bit scattered. But that's all for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, stay up to date, hit the notification bell, and in the comments section, let me know what you thought about this. Let me know if you're in a job. Let me know if you're thinking about starting something new, because I've truly tried almost all the business models, have pretty much some success with almost all of them. I have never really done much affiliate marketing things, but again, when you run like something like a YouTube channel, it's like you should try and monetize it. So in my opinion, that's why I have the exchanges that I personally use to trade in the description, the VPNs that I personally use in the description. Very, very simple. So that's, I guess, one category that I never really tapped into. But beyond this, beyond the kind of more stereotypical things like digital marketing, social media marketing agency, there's certain niches within those that I find very, very interesting. And there's the overall thought process of that business model is also very, very interesting. Really consulting is what I find, at least personally, that I do the best with, because I can scale it up. I'm not someone who necessarily wants to just sit behind a drop shipping store and do that all day, but people make money with it. So I can even do a course on that because it does work, but you have to know what you're doing. You have to have the proper information. And really it comes down to your discipline. Because one of my favorite books, Think and Grow Rich, even though this is a very, very cliche one, it was one that I read very, very early with Rich Dad Poor Dad. I mean, these are just fundamental books that I think are very, very important to read. Also, as I develop the channel, a lot more videos on reading when I'm traveling. I don't necessarily have my library with me, but that's the only thing that really ties to the U.S. is my library and family, of course. But really what that book comes down to, and really the main point that I extract out of that book, is when you're taking a look at your life, when you're analyzing something and you're objecting yourself, you're really directing yourself towards a goal, towards whatever the objective is. In this case, the majority of people, I would say 80 out of the 20 in the Pareto efficiency, 80 out of 20 stop 5 feet from gold. There's a great story in that book where they basically talk about, to summarize the story, there was a mine, tons of money in the gold rush, I think it was in Colorado, this particular case, but in that time, guy hired a bunch of people, digging, no gold, digging, no gold, digging, no gold. Comes to basically he's make it or break it. He's like, man, I got to sell everything. I got to sell the picks. I got to sell the shovels. He's got to sell it back to the guy that sold it to him for less. Then that guy sells the land for more. And 5 feet from where that guy quit, from where the guy was like, man, I don't think I can make it. I don't think this dropshipping store will work. I don't think this business will work. I don't think this whatever YouTube channel will work. I don't think this investment will work. That's where most people stop 5 feet away from gold, because it really comes down to your information, your drive, because there's always a way, in my opinion, to collect more money. There's always a way to really gather money, to raise capital. And those are things, again, moving forward, I will talk about more on this channel. But those, again, longer videos. This is just talking about kind of this topic. I thought Quartz did a great job. Also, the Apollo Currency FinTech, kind of my little partner there. They will be linked down below in the description. As I said a couple minutes ago, like, subscribe, button all, invest global, join the Telegram group, link down below in the description. Also, if you're interested in a job, we do have the DAP Map project. We're going through interviews currently. And so go ahead and check that out. But that's all for today's video. Invest global. And until next time.